Breaking news, Donald Trump has made a significant revelation regarding Epstein. There is just one issue. One issue exists. Ghislaine Maxwell is now receiving special treatment, and Jesse Waters' answer is completely repugnant, according to Jessica Taroff of Fox News, who has been sort of waiting for this time.
So why do you think Ghislaine Maxwell is in a minimum security prison and is being waited on basically hand and foot?
I don't know, and I don't care.
Well, that's
but I
beautiful.
do know this,
I love
Jessica.
that you don't know and
you
you
will
don't
find
care, but
out
it's inconvenient
that the
for you.
FBI will be embarrassed because they investigated a lot of these allegations and didn't do anything about it. The DOJ will be embarrassed because they were the ones that cut the sweetheart deal. J.P. Morgan, all the bankers will be embarrassed.
Yeah, I'd love
a lot
to
of
hear from
Democrats and a lot of
Costa.
and the royal family will be embarrassed.
Well,
so
they definitely already are.
I think Donald Trump is probably saying there's going to be a lot of innuendo out there. You really want to see it? You really want to see it? Are you sure? Okay, here it is.
That's precisely what he did. Before we move on to Donald Trump's major announcement, it is important to note that Jesse Waters claims he is unaware of and unconcerned about Ghislaine Maxwell's abrupt placement in a minimum security facility, one of the world's most prominent child molesters. Suddenly, a minimal security prison as a part of one of the biggest pedophile gangs in history. Furthermore, this individual has no interest in discussing the reasons why that might have occurred. In fact, Benny Johnson told me this when he delivered the news. He said, President Trump confirms he has officially signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Here's the issue now. He continues, here all the files will now be released. Put it in writing, I promise. Put it in writing. Put it in writing, because they won't reveal all of the files, as I'm stating now. Not even near. Additionally, if they publish anything they don't want everyone to see, there will be a lot of redactions. We won't see anything for a very long time, in my opinion. However, Donald Trump recently stated this. This is really similar to a lot of lies. Look at this long fight. I mean, Christ Jesus. Does he understand what a paragraph is? He claims that Jeffrey Epstein, a lifelong Democrat who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, rather than the Democrats, gave a blah, blah, blah. All right, I apologize. But I'm not even, I just don't think it would be beneficial for you if I repeated all of these falsehoods. I don't. It's all falsehoods. Here, however, he declares, I have signed the bill to release the Epstein files. That is the crucial aspect. Just 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump said that this was a fraud and that the Democrats were merely attempting to undermine his presidency. Now he wants to release them all, which is a drastic change of pace. And since this is currently an ongoing investigation, I believe they will attempt to make it so that the Justice Department solely targets Democrats, and Pam Bondi will do so by claiming that many of the papers cannot be made public. Benny Johnson stated that all the files will now be made public, so what they're doing is setting themselves up. G is MAGA. Until all the files are made available, MAGA will not be happy. Interestingly enough, Joe Rogan has actually flipped against Trump over all of this.
The Epstein files.
I heard there's no files. I heard it's a hoax. And then all of a sudden, he's going to release the files. Well, I thought there was no files.
Man.
He wants an investigation now.
Listen.
Like, what is going on?
They voted 427 to 1.
Who was the one?
Whoa, who's the one?
I didn't see why he said, but he did.
National
say
security.
Let me pull it up.
No fucking way you gonna be the one. No,
security.
if you found out.
Yes, so Joe Rogan, he's asking the right questions, like why? And thus, I think that is something that we all know. We all know why, because Donald Trump is very much so implicated in these files. Now, Jessica Tarf went on to expand on that in her own show.
This idea that the Epstein files is going to be reframed as a Democratic hoax is never going to work. The American public is not cool with it. What does he have? Trump has a minus 39 approval on handling the Epstein files, and only 45% of Republicans even approve at this point. The narrative about Hakeem Jeffries, everyone at this table knows how fundraising emails work. So that email was from someone named Lisa Rossi, who's from a random fundraising.
Just so you know, Hakeem Jeffries was discovered to be in the files, or at least his name was, and MAGA went with it as if he was somehow linked. Additionally, just so you know, the most named person in the 33,000 email drop that we received
is Donald Trump.
SRG asking if Epstein wants to go to a generic DCCC dinner that Obama and Jeffries were going to be at. There was never any meeting. There was never any donation. And he appears one time in the Epstein files. By the Miami Herald's count, Trump is mentioned over 1,000 times in the latest tranche that just got out. And people are not going to forget that in 2002, for instance, Trump said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with." It's even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. I have never alleged, and I am not alleging now, that Donald Trump has done anything untoward with an underage woman. But if you want to be throwing around single emails from a random fundraising group to try to make Brooklyn Barack look bad and not acknowledge how many times Donald Trump is mentioned in these files, you're just going to look dumb. And I would encourage everyone to not look dumb.
But it's other people mentioning him. It's not his fault when people want to get him.
I just read a quote.
So that was one quote, but other people are mentioning it to stop him. They're like the other person. They were all trying to stop Trump.
Why did he want the files to not come out this badly? Why? Just tell me why.
Why do you always fall for this stuff is the bigger question.
Happening again. This is Russia, Ukraine, everything.
I don't think this is the...
Since it is the main point of the question, I really wish it had continued. However, I believe that we are somewhat aware of each other. Just a few moments ago, Mark Epstein described the closeness between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. This is the brother of Jeffrey Epstein. No, not at all. I'm not sure exactly, but Jeff and Donald were close friends throughout the 1990s. Could that be the reason Trump has been brought up more than 1,000 times in recent years?
2004 or something, but they were really good friends. You know, they used to fly in each other's planes. Like I said, you know, they say Donald was on Jeff's plane like 7 times, but I question, have they checked Donald's flight logs from those days to see how many times Jeffrey was on his plane? Because I know Jeffrey told me on a number of occasions that he flew up or flew down with Donald on his plane. So they were, you know, and Donald was in Jeffrey's office quite a bit back in the 90s.
Let's calculate. I'm hoping a reporter is paying attention. Could there be further details? Mark Epstein continued by stating that Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein had audio regarding Trump.
All right, I have a couple questions for you about this, Mark. But first this. You say that your brother told you something very different about their falling out than what Trump says?
Well, it's not that he told me. Steve Bannon was doing interviews with Jeffrey and taping them, and Jeffrey had sent me a Dropbox link to one of those interview sessions. And on that tape, Jeffrey clearly stated that he stopped hanging out with Trump when he realized Trump was a crook. That's a direct quote from Jeffrey. He stopped hanging out with Trump when he realized Trump was a crook.
All right. Donald Trump, the complete liar, claims that he stopped hanging out with Jeffrey because of what Jeffrey was doing, so I'm not sure who to believe. Additionally, Jeffrey claimed that Trump was a crook, which is why he quit hanging out with him. I simply wish we didn't have to deal with these low-living, time-hungry billionaires. Not enough morality, huh? However, here we are. For now, we have to put up with them. The significant news, I believe, is that Donald Trump will sign an agreement to release the data. We'll see whether that occurs. I have no faith in whatever they plan to publish. I won't know it's the real deal till Donald Trump is connected to this. However, if it isn't, we can identify it as fraudulent. How's that going? I appreciate you watching. Please hit like if you enjoy the video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'll see you shortly.